Welcome to the Business of Family, the podcast where we explore the stories, challenges, and opportunities of family businesses. I'm your host, Tammy Buss, and I'm a family business survivor, and I'm also a family business advisor. In this show, we'll be talking with family business leaders and experts to bring you insights and inspiration so you too can survive your family business journey. Whether you're a founder, a successor, a professional, or just curious about family business, this podcast is for you. So today in our episode, we have Jen Kielczewski, who is the president and CEO of Complete Converting, a women-owned business that champions quality and efficiency while fostering a positive and fun work environment. After starting her career in investment banking, Jen brought her experience in finance and strategy to the manufacturing sector, acquiring Complete Converting in 2022. Under her leadership, the company has flourished thanks to her commitment to building a strong, supportive workplace culture. Jen is passionate about empowering her team and believes that a positive atmosphere is key to driving exceptional results. So welcome, Jen.
Thank you for having me.
So Jen, I have to start with, how did you go from investment banking to manufacturing?
It's kind of a crazy story. So I did investment banking for 10 years. I retired after I had my second child, and then just kind of needed something to do. So I actually started helping out my dad. He has an industrial dry cleaning company that he purchased from the same woman who started Complete Converting. So I started working for him, and there was a lot of synergies in an industrial dry clean its manufacturing. And then back in 2020, her name's Donna Cush, and she actually reached out to my dad to see if he wanted to buy Complete Converting. And he said, "No, I don't want to. I'm too old, but I know somebody that might." So she sat down and we kind of, I would say, interviewed each other a little bit and then decided that it might be a really nice fit and a great opportunity for me and my family. So that was I would say, middle of 2020, and we closed in the first quarter of 22. So it still took quite a long time.
Right, right. So tell me, what does Complete Converting do?
Okay, so we're a bit of a niche company. We are a custom cut and sew facility. So we actually have sewing machines out in our manufacturing plant, and we specialize in producing protective packaging and padding, specifically in the automotive industry. So imagine,
Interesting.
I always say, imagine a shower cap for a car part.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that is something that we make. And we travel, all over to do on-site measurements. And then we come back and we create a design that fits that particular part. And it doesn't have to be an automotive part. We do all different types of things, from robots to elastic strapping to giant fascia covers. It's kind of anything that would need to be custom cut and sewn is really what we specialize in.
Wow. So being in manufacturing, probably when you go to a lot of conferences or meetings, there's not a lot of women who lead
Hardly
the
any.
run a manufacturing, and to have it go from Donna to you is
Mhm.
even more amazing to have
It's
two
it's
women
pretty special.
leaders.
Yes, I mean, I usually travel with our head graphic designer. Her name's Taylor, and we are usually the only women in the plant when we are there to begin
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. So did you have any hurdles sort of getting into this market being a female?
So I actually think you can use it to your advantage. I think that especially in a male-dominated industry, and it was very much like that when I was in investment banking. I mean, there was hardly any women that were licensed individuals in that business. I think I was two of 40 that back in the day. And I think that really gave me a lot of experience in knowing how to cross those hurdles. I feel as a woman in a male dominated industry, you really have to know your stuff. So making sure that I was very educated on what different textiles that we could use, what different applications we had. So I think the biggest hurdle was just proving my knowledge. And obviously you gain that with time. And I felt that I had to prove that pretty quickly. So it was a lot of just soaking up whatever Donna said, taking notes, going over that, and making sure that when I was able to talk to the customer, I knew what I was talking about and sounded educated and made impactful recommendations to them.
Yeah, it's difficult starting out in any career,
Hmm.
but being a woman in a male dominated, I found that I had to be uh, not smarter, but I had to really know my stuff, really
Sharp.
know
You
my
got to be
stuff.
very sharp.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me just take a step back and talk about your dad's business a little bit. So obviously, you worked with your dad, and your
Hmm.
dad has a family business. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a little sister.
Is she involved in the your dad's business?
No, she's not. She tried and decided that she was off better being a paralegal. So she's
Oh,
actually in a totally different business than us anymore. But it has been nice because I said there are a lot of synergies between my dad's company and my company. And I would say dinner conversations are very different than they used to be.
right. And so, what is the succession plan with your dad's company? Because obviously, Donna didn't have a family succession, which is why you had the opportunity to purchase it. So, what is the
Correct.
succession plan with your dad's business now that you say there's synergies and you're in business now? What does that look like?
Well, the plan would be for me and my husband to acquire it. And then eventually, ideally, in a perfect world, we would get both businesses under the same roof. That is a very, long down the road. But that is the plan. Me and my husband are also pretty involved in my dad's business, and we talk a lot about what he's got going on. I try to go there once a week just to say hi and see everybody. But yeah, that plan would be for us to acquire it, and then we would merge the two companies together.
And do you have any formal talks or anything in writing? Like,
So I mean, I am the executor of his will. And in that will, there's obviously a life insurance policy that would go to help my mom, but then my husband and I would acquire the company.
right. And is your mom involved in the business at all?
Nope, not at all. She was a dental hygienist. So hard,
Right.
not, her and my sister chose very different paths.
Is your dad a mentor for you from a business standpoint?
He is, he really always has been. He's owned or worked for himself basically my entire life. So I've seen him really build something from nothing. And it's nice to be able to talk to him about different challenges that we face in the industry, different challenges we face with people, and different, those kinds of conversations and his experience and what he's done and really fostering, watching him foster those relationships and put an emphasis on customer service and customer relationships allows you, God forbid there ever be a mistake, but does provide a little bit of grace if you have that trust there.
Right. And one of the things I want to just mention is when you said that, your mom and your sister went in different paths, but you also took a different path. So I
I
think
did.
what's really important is to realize that, a path you take today might not be the one down the road. Because if you were in investment banking, who'd have thought you'd come into, manufacturing? If Donna was your mom and she had this manufacturing, you go, I'm investment banking.
Yeah.
Right. So I do think that, we can never really close the door on the possibility of a family business because
Right.
situations change. And, several of my clients have been sort of pushed into the family business due to a health
Hmm.
or a death. Right. And they have
Hmm.
no choice but
Hmm.
to step in and try to help the business survive until there's an opportunity to sell it. And many times they end up staying because they actually kind of like it.
Right.
So you've got kids. And how old are
I
your
do.
kids?
My son is 13 and my daughter is 11.
And are they involved at all? Do they come in? Do they understand really what you're doing?
They do. And it's really important for me that they see that. My daughter would go to work with me every day if she could. She loves to come in and I mean, when I first bought it and she was only in the second grade, she would draw pictures for everybody and put them up out in the plant. It is important for me, especially because this is my time away from my children, that they see me doing something impactful and worthwhile. And that was the most important thing to me because it most definitely changed the ecosystem of our family when I went from being a stay-at-home mom, quasi working to full-time outside the home. So they love to come in. They love to help out with little projects that they can. They love to go on rides on the forklift, which is silly, but it does not only does it show them what we're doing, but I also think it humanizes me to my employees.
Right. Right.
And it really helps me reiterate the emphasis on being positive. We call ourselves a family here. We help
Hmm.
each other out. We take care of each other. And it's important for me that they see that dynamic between, my husband and my mom will come in and help me out on projects if I need an extra set of hands. So, we
That's a
really,
family business. That's a
it is,
true
yeah.
family business.
My mom loves to come in and help out when I need it, and it's great. And sometimes I do need her help, and I think it's important that those that are out doing the sewing, doing the quality control, creating the product understands that I'm also willing to do that. I'm going to stand out there next to you and get my hands dirty. There's we're part of the team.
Right. And so, that comes down to the culture, right? And was the culture a good culture when you took over, or did you end up sort of changing the workplace culture when you took over?
I have worked very hard to change the workplace culture. I think that I relied a lot on working for a large corporation and their employee engagement, and knowing that, as silly as something sounds, it really is impactful to those that work for you. So I have worked very hard to change the culture. We've done a lot of cosmetic changes to the plant. We repainted the bathrooms. We got everybody new lockers. Little things that show, in my opinion, show that I'm invested in them. We did a mandatory fun day this past summer where we have a AAA team, baseball team in town, and there was a noon game. And I told everybody it was a mandatory fun day. And during the work day, we were all going to go to the baseball game together. So,
Oh, that's
um,
great.
we do that. I give out turkeys at Thanksgiving, which has kind of been a fun tradition. And yes, we have worked. I have worked very hard to change the culture, to be more communicative. I want everybody to buy in, right? A
Right.
rising tide
Right.
raises all ships. So, our mantra here at the Complete Converting is have fun, get shit done.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
we have that on the back of our t-shirts. We have it in our break room. It's kind of what we say. So we're all about having a good time, but at the end of the day, we're here to get shit done. And we say it a lot to each other, and you have to smile when you say something like that,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So it's just, that kind of, in my opinion, embodies the culture that we have here.
Did you find a difference when you started putting in this changing the culture? Did you find a difference in, the engagement with the employees, the quality of work? Like, did you find a difference in attitude?
Not only a difference in attitude, but I'm one of the few, I think, really small businesses that never deals with turnover. We
Oh,
never
amazing.
have to worry about if someone's going to show up for work. We, I mean, if you don't fit into our culture, we recognize that pretty quickly, and
Mhm.
we don't really have any tolerance for that. So you either buy in and you're part of the optimism and the opportunity, or maybe this isn't the right fit for you. So we have so much loyalty with our employees, which just creates a different dynamic. We don't have to retrain someone. We don't have to reteach someone.
It's so
Um,
expensive to do that,
Correct.
right? The
So
learning curve is
expensive.
huge. Yeah.
Right. And we really let everybody know when they start out, you might start out as a quality control person or a temporary position. And then we really have watched them work their way up to sewer, to plant supervisor. So we really try to lay out a path for success for them. But they do have to buy in, right? They have
Right.
to be productive. They have to show up on time. They have to be here and follow the rules of the plant when they're out there. And because we have fun while we do it, we really don't have any HR issues, thank goodness.
That's amazing. And do you have your mission, vision, and values sort of outlined for employees, or do you have those documented?
Not as well as I should. When
Okay.
I first took over, I think we were at 11 employees, and now we're at just under 20. I think 19 is our count right now with two temps. And I think last year was such a growth year for us as a company. And for me as a business owner, and this year I made it my personal goal to focus more on, okay, just the outline of the business and really getting into the specifics of, okay, this is our mission. We just created a website, believe it or not, within the last 6 months. So we're starting to get there. Um, I didn't want to buy a business card before I had a business type of a thing. So
Right,
I
right.
wanted to build it, and then, okay, if we really want to take this to the next level, which I do, we are going to have to be more definitive on those types of things.
Well, because culture is usually wrapped around your mission, vision, and values. And what I
Hmm.
find working with family businesses is that you have them. They are internal. Like you have them
Right.
in the plant, you have them in yourself, in your family, and all you need to do is to document them. So that can actually direct the culture. But it sounds like you've kind of done it the other way, which to put your mission, vision, and values down would be very, very easy because you've already adopted the culture. Because a lot of times you're hiring based on what the mission is, what do you see as the vision for the company? What are you trying to
Hmm.
accomplish, and how are you going to do that with the mission? And then what are the values around that? And that really is easy to not easy, but you can identify that when hiring to make sure that they
Hmm.
are the right fit, which then continues with the culture. But it sounds like you have the culture in place, so you actually have them all. They're just probably not documented. So
Right. I mean,
we'll have to talk to you about that to get that
yes.
documented, because that's a really good thing, so that you understand this is so we're get shit done. That
Right.
might be that might be your mission or your vision. you know
Could be. Yes.
right? So I think you've got that, which is pretty amazing, because the hardest thing I think is when you take over a business is to get the culture that you actually want.
Right.
And people will weed themselves out when they see they don't fit
I
in
agree.
that culture. But I mean, it's such a big turnaround in terms of, like you say, turnaround for employees, time off, just negativity, right? Because
Hmm.
that negativity really does not help the culture, and it brings us like one bad apple spoils the whole
Totally.
basket, right? So it
And
sounds
I've
like you've
had a
got that.
learning curve with that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
that was something that when I first came in, I've learned to trust my own instinct
yes,
on people. And if there has to be hard conversations, and there has to be hard conversations, but the longer, the more I get into I don't want to say the less tolerant I've become, but the the but we don't have time for that. Like, we're
no,
trying to run a
no,
business, we're trying to grow. We don't need, I read something somewhere that said the best way to ruin a great employee is to tolerate a bad one.
absolutely. I
And
was just going to say that
yeah,
is the worst thing you can do, is not deal with them right away
right,
and get those issues looked after and have those hard conversations. And I think that it's hard to have those hard conversations if that's just not who you are.
right.
You do want to just help people and not have to have those difficult conversations. But do you think part of that was the way you grew up and with your dad in business and listening to the dinner table conversations and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, my mom would probably say that I would have been a really good divorce attorney, because I don't she just my dad and I are very straight to the point. I'm very specific. I don't mess around. I have a strong opinion. I will let you know it. Whether it's on hiring or picking out paint colors for a wall. I mean, it is what it is. And I think that's because even growing up with my parents, and my dad traveled a lot, and I was a competitive gymnast. So I was in the gym for hours and then still wanted to get good grades. So you learn how to be efficient and precise. And now, I mean, I come to work, which, we're focusing on work, but I leave at 3:30, and I've got two kids that play travel sports, and I'm driving all around town till 9 o'clock at night. So I think when you are in that type of an environment, you learn to make decisions quickly, to
Yep,
trust your opinion. You can always pivot. We use the word pivot here all the time,
yep.
but there's no time to be wasted. And
No,
I
no.
think I've watched my parents instill that in me from a very young age. Um, and my mom would probably call me another word, but I would say it is just who I am, as a very strong personality.
Right. And I think it takes that to actually grow a business, and like you say, to have, your family life, to have your work life. You're now responsible for employees, for
Correct.
their families. There's a lot going on there. And I
Right.
think women in general have a really good handle on that because, you know, we're nurturers by nature, so we want to look after everybody, right? We want to make sure everybody's looked after, but we also understand that we have to work hard to get this stuff done. We need to
Right.
get this shit done.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever it happens. I'm gonna actually adopt that in the office here, because we do
It's
that. I
fun.
mean, it is. It makes it kind of fun and makes people giggle, and particularly if you got a T-shirt with it.
Oh yeah,
So
I mean, and that's it's that. I mean, we put Alexas out in the plant so they can listen to music. I mean, we put picnic tables outside, so in the summer and in the spring when it's nice in Toledo, Ohio, they can sit outside. So I have tried to make sure that they realize that their hard work does not go unnoticed or unappreciated.
right.
And I think that to me is the most important thing.
100%. I think you are so right. I think it's important that the employees, the people that work with you, for you, know that they're appreciated for the work they
Hmm.
do. It's not just, you're not just a number. So
Correct.
tell me, what's next for the business? Like, where do you see this growth? What happens now? I know you talked about, potentially bringing your dad's business in at some point, which I do think you need to sort of formalize a little bit more, and
Probably yes.
get more involved in it so that you do see the culture and everything. But I mean, that's just me and with my family business hat on. Um, so what's next for your family business?
Well, I would like to continue to grow. I would like us to expand our capabilities. We are a certified women-owned business in the state of Ohio, and I am currently applying for our national certification. So once we receive that, um, my hope is that I will leverage that designation into getting some business that is required to be made in North America, maybe specifically stateside. So I would love to expand into PPE equipment. We have an opportunity right now to work with um, a company who's looking for a manufacturer for women fire retardant undergarments. So that's a really
Hmm.
interesting opportunity. So we are currently doing patterns on that, and then hopefully we'll come up with some prototype ideas. So just anything that can be cut and sewn. And we can get our name out there that we can help provide those services. So whether it's American flags, whether it's safety vests, whether it's hospital gowns, anything of that sort will we can grow into. And that would be ideal, is that we would continue to get our abilities out there, because we are such a niche company. And when people come in and they do a plant tour, everyone's like, huh, I never knew this existed. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, we're here. So it's really more about marketing our brand and our capabilities that hopefully will help us grow. And then my goal this year is just to continue to make connections and really get our name and our capabilities out into the manufacturing world, which encompasses huge. It's ton.
Hmm. Absolutely. So believe it or not, we're just about out of time. But
Oh,
I do like to, I know it goes fast, doesn't it?
it does.
I like to finish every podcast by asking you for three tips that you'd give a family business, either starting out or, issues that you've come up, you face. Like, so what tips would you get having grown up in a family business, now being a first gen of a next family business, but kind of a second gen women owned? So tell me a little bit,
Mhm.
give me three tips that you would give to anybody listening.
Um, I would say be honest with yourself and your customers. I think that establishing honesty builds trust, and that's how relationships grow. I would say don't make promises you can't keep. So be careful of over promising and under delivering. That is the fastest way to lose a customer. And then I would also say enjoy it. I mean, take it in. It is the time away from your family. So if you don't love and enjoy what you're doing, then you won't develop that passion. And I think that passion comes out. And I hope that that passion comes out to my customers and to my employees, which just fosters that positive work environment, because we spend most of our time here. So enjoy what you're doing, have fun with it, learn from your mistakes, be vulnerable and honest.
I think that's great advice. And, I always used to say that in my old company, because I was a family business, sold it, have another company. And I would say that, we spend more time together than we do with our families.
Right.
So, we have to like each other. You know, we have to actually work well together and you have
Hmm.
to enjoy what you do.
Right.
Because if you don't, it makes the days awfully long, you
Right.
know. And you're watching the clock to get
Hmm.
out. So anyway, great advice. Thank you so much for joining us, Jen. It's amazing to listen to Complete Converting and your dad's industrial dry cleaning company, which is interesting, which will be, again, hopefully under your umbrella. So really taking this family business and expanding it into different areas. So I love that. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
If you like this episode, subscribe to the Business of Family podcast on your favorite listening platform. You can also find Blue Roots on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. On the next show, I'll be back with another amazing guest who will inspire you with their family business insights. Until then, take care and keep it in the family. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, tax, investment, or insurance advice. Before acting on any advice, please contact your personal or company advisors.